How's it going? Jason the Middle-Aged Gear Junkie here. This is the first video in a new series of mine which I'm going to call Are They Any Good? Now, I have a lot of pedals that come through my hands. I have between 3 and about 6 pedals come through my hands every month, and I can't make enough videos to demonstrate them all. So what I thought I'd do is do a bunch of them all in one video. So the pedals I'll be looking at today are the much hyped Digitech DF-7 Distortion modeler, the Boss SL-20 slicer, that's the original one, and the not so hyped Donner white tape delay. The DF7 is a digital modeling distortion pedal that has 7 different modes. Each mode replicates a different classic style of distortion pedal. I do say distortion, but the first pedal on there is actually the TS9, which is actually an overdrive. The controls on it are very similar to a metal zone. We have highs, lows, level, gain, and we have sweepable mids here, same as a metal zone. And then we have the mode selector on the end. Seeing as this pedal is supposed to replicate the sounds of some classic drive pedals, what I thought I'd do is actually compare it to 3 such classics that I have in my collection. Now I'm just going to treat this pedal on its own merits and just come up with a tone that I like. Next up, we have the original Boss slicer, the SL-20. Now, I'm not going to do a really deep dive on this pedal because it would take the whole video. If you want to see something like that, check out Stompbox Breakdown's video on this pedal. I'll leave a link in the description below. Now, what this pedal is, it's a pattern sequencer of sorts. So you play and it chops your signal up. It's kind of like a pattern tremolo, but it's got more options and it's a bit weirder than a pattern tremolo. Basically, it's triggered by signal coming from the guitar. Every time I play, it triggers the pattern. If we just go through the knobs real quick, so we've got the effect level and the direct level. So sometimes if you want it to be really wacky, you just turn the direct all the way down and you just get the effect. Which is pretty cool. If you want to give it some musical context, just turn up the direct level a bit. This next section of the pedal here is to do with the stereo output and how it's going. Is it swirling around? Is it fixed stereo? Is it random? Is it ping pong? It's really interesting, all the different options. I've got it set to ping pong. I'm going through 2 different amps. I'm going through my Marshall SL-20 and my Fender Deluxe Reverb. So if you've got headphones on, that's going to sound really, really cool. And so you can just select through them like this. You can use this pedal in mono, but it's kick-ass in stereo, so definitely stereo is the way to go with this. Now over here we have 10 patterns and we have 5 banks of 10. So that means we've got 5 times 10, 50 different patterns you can choose from. So if you go through, at the moment I'm on bank 3, I've got 10 patterns in bank 3. If I don't like any of those, I can go to bank 4 and scroll through those. So as you saw there, I turned up the speed or the tempo of the pattern. These two knobs here, I'm going to go back to a more regular pattern. So we've got attack and duty. Now attack is how softly or how hard it's slicing. So is it going to be a really smooth slice or is it going to be really chopped off sort of sound? So that sounds much more like a tremolo, but if I turn it all the way to the right, it's going to be much more harsh and abrupt. Chopping those waveforms very harshly. And duty, this basically is how long each one of those slices is. Is it going to be really short and abrupt, or is it going to be slightly longer? So for a more unnatural sound, you would go with a shorter one. I mean, if you want to sound really unnatural, have it really chopped and really short. And that's going to give you some really cool rhythmic sounds. I kind of like the duty to be a bit longer, the attack to be a little bit softer. And the last 2 banks have some more crazy, they have other effects like octave, envelope filter, and stuff like that in some of these patterns, which make them really interesting. So if you buy an effect like this and you want to play your blues licks with it, you're going to be really, really disappointed. That's not what this does. In fact, what I found is that the less playing you do, the better. Let the effect do all the work for you. It's doing all of the rhythmic patterns, so all you have to do most of the time is just hold a chord. And let the effect take over. So if you're like me and you like to experiment with sounds, definitely check out the SL-20. They're a bit pricey on the secondhand market today. You can buy the new slicer that they've just brought out in the compact series of pedals, which I hear is very, very good as well. So far, the first two pedals that I've featured are quite rare and expensive. So I thought what I'd do is, for these videos, I'll always include a more budget-friendly or affordable pedal. So I've chosen the White Tape by Donna. Now, I've had this pedal for about a year and I just haven't got around to demoing it. If you're running this pedal in mono, you're just using the three knobs across the top, which is level, feedback, and delay time. And you can run this pedal in mono and it sounds fine. But if you decide that you want to run this pedal in stereo, you have a separate delay engine with separate controls so that you can set your delay times differently and get some really cool rhythmic effects. At the moment, I've got it set to a crotchet. And because it's mimicking tape delay, it's starting to degrade the more repeats that we get. And I have the other one, the other delay engine, set to a dotted eighth. So we'll get some sort of rhythmic bouncing between the two delay signals. So I'll just turn the level of that back up again. I find using a delay this way to be very atmospheric and it helps to really fill out the sound. So if you want to know how to set up a rhythmic delay like this is what I did. I turned the level of one of them down and set up my speed and get everything right with the left side first. Go a little quicker. Now that's like a crotchet pulse. Now what I want is for the dotted eighth delay, which will be the right hand one, to go bump, ba bump, 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 ba bump, bump like that. So I've got to get that speed just right. It's a little bit tricky to get it right, but so what did I think of these pedals? Well, the DF7 here really surprised me. I really enjoyed playing this. It's had a lot of really good sounds. When you scroll through the 7 different modes, you can really hear, which one's the big muff, which one's the metal zone and the DS1. They all definitely have that character. I think that out of the 3 pedals that I compared it to, I think it sounded most like the TS9. I think they did a really good job on that. I think that the Rat was probably the one that sounded the most different. This is a reissue with the original LM308 chip inside. So I think they did sound different, but to be honest, I actually preferred the sound I got from this. Not only does this do a very good job mimicking these classic pedals, but it also gives you a bit more flexibility over some of the models. So the Preamp 250, for example, that only has distortion and level, whereas this gives you those two knobs, but it gives you highs and lows and a sweepable mid-range. So I think it is a very decent pedal, and I don't think you should thumb your nose up it just because it's digital. I think it's a damn good pedal. So late in 2022, my local music store was shutting down, and I noticed that they had this for sale. Now, this was brand new and apparently had been on the shelf for years. Nobody knew what it did. And, you know, because they were closing down, not having a sale, I ended up getting this for about $100 less than they're going for secondhand, and it's brand new. So, yeah, I was stoked with that deal, but plugging it in and playing with it, this is so much fun. So this pedal, I think, is best utilized in stereo. That's why they've got so many different stereo options. And it is an effect in the truest sense of the word. As I said before, I think you get the best out of it when you play less and let the effect really take over and do its thing. You're not going to be able to utilize this in, say, a cover band. I mean, if you're going to buy a pedal like this, you're going to have to use it to write music. If you're into writing original songs, that's where I think something like this is definitely worthwhile. I can't help but think what it would have been like if Pink Floyd had got their hands on something like this back in the 70s and what sort of music they would have created. It's more like something you would expect from a synthesizer keyboard rather than a guitar. So if you can't get a hold of this one or it's too expensive, Boss have just reissued this as a single size pedal, and definitely check that out because I've heard a lot of good things. So the White Tape by Donna here is a pedal I think that's gone under the radar. It's been out for a couple of years and not many people are talking about it. Donna, probably a brand that you'd more associate as a budget brand. And this pedal itself, I think it cost me about 70 Australian dollars. And when they're on special, you can get them for like 50 bucks, which is really cheap. I tell you what, you can do a lot worse. This is fantastic. And especially when you run it in stereo, I think it's an inspirational sort of delay to have these two different delays happening at the same time. I think as a tape emulation, it's pretty good. It's not the best, but I tell you what, it's pretty darn good. And I actually had this sitting on my board for a good 6 weeks when I first got it. That's how much I enjoyed playing it. So yeah, definitely if you're in the market for an affordable delay, I mean, even if you just use it in mono, it's still good. But you know, if you can run it in stereo, it's even better. And I think this pedal deserves a bit more attention. So I'd really like to hear what you think about these pedals. Have you owned them? Do you own one? Do you swear by it? Did you think it was overrated or did you hate it? Let me know. I really want to know. And also I'd like to know what other pedals you would like me to feature in this series, because I'll see if I can make that happen. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. You can join the Middle Age Gear Junkie Facebook page from the link in the description. Also, if you want to support my channel, you can click on one of the links below and go to the Middle Age Gear Junkie store and pick up some merchandise, and that will really help me out. Other than that, my name is Jason. Have a great day. See you later.